Hey all, Paul Roberts here. We're now into March, early spring here. What does that mean to cold-blooded creatures like our fish? Well, spring is a transition season, and the seesaw battle between winter and summer is raging on. Summer will eventually win out, but it comes in fits and starts. March is the month of lions and lambs, as it's been called. The lions are the chilling cold fronts, and the lambs are the warming periods in between. In March, we're rapidly reaching the vernal equinox, when the daylight to dark ratio evens out, giving us 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of dark. And the sun angle is now so high in the sky that our land and waters are now taking on heat, pretty much every day, even through cloud cover. Some days, however, heat better than others, and we'll be talking about this as the spring season progresses. It's still early yet here. In our fall and winter fishing journals, we talked about and experienced cooling. It's springtime now, and it's time to talk about heating. Heating comes in three ways. Radiation, that's direct incident sunlight. Convection, the circulation or mixing of heat across air or water through wind and currents. These two ways of acquiring heat are the most important in terms of water and fish. Lastly is conduction, heat that was absorbed by objects, the bottom substrate, masses of water, and being transferred, conducted to cooler water in contact with those heated objects. Conduction appears to me to be by far the weakest heating force of the three. We'll get into this more deeply as the spring season progresses. For now, know that light and heat matters. Light for photosynthesis that powers the foundation of the vast majority of the food chain, and heat to activate it. Now, when I say light and heat matters, that does not mean that these elements stand alone. Nature and our fishing is more complex than that. We're not ever considering one factor at a time when constructing our game plan. But heat is known to fish ecologists, biologists, and managers as the master factor, and for good reason. For now, just know that while we'll be following heat as foundational to the progression of the seasons, we'll also be factoring in other elements that can override heat in importance. There are many possible elements, but security and food tend to be primary. So cover and prey availability and vulnerability will trump heat, can trump heat. That said, heat can still have a powerful effect on the players at any given location. So what are the bass doing in early spring? Bass are leaving their winter quarters and transitioning into spring locations. But it's not spawning that they're most interested in at first. It's feeding. So they'll seek out the food first. Winter habitat tends to be more limited in many waters, so bass often end up consolidated over winter. The more limited or prominent such habitat is, the more consolidated the fish tend to be. In many of my relatively featureless, dishpan contoured waters, winter habitat can be tough to discern, and aggregations may simply be less pronounced, location-wise. However, bass being social beings, they tend to shoal up heavily in the winter anyway. They appear to stay this way into the spawn, to the spawn. What this can mean for us anglers is that a lot of water can be devoid of bass, especially the mature quality size fish that we're seeking to make contact with. What I'm waiting for in early spring are water temperatures to break the 50-degree Fahrenheit mark. This is the temperature at which bass activity and growth begins to take off, and the bass begin to get hungry and are spurred on to move and seek food. Now, exact temperatures aren't the sole factor here. Fish and most other living things possess what's called an endogenous or internal rhythm, a deeply set biological clock that goes off at the appropriate time. This clock has been set and honed over the ages by the consistency of our solar system, essentially, allowing creatures to anticipate the seasons. These are called endogenous or internal because they persist even without the cues one would expect would control such seasonal behaviors. I guess one could call these ancient internal rhythms wisdom. In the wild, reliable cues such as photoperiod changes serve to reinforce or entrain that anticipatory rhythm. But more local conditions, being more transient, the lion and lamb stuff that's raging on above their heads, plays an important motivational or demotivational role. So In other words, our fish already know where they're headed. And you should know that the first place they're headed for is the kitchen. What follows now is fishing time. That's time on the water, reading water and conditions to find those mature bass. All right, with that bit of background, let's kick off the spring transition season with an early March trip to a small water body, assess the situation, and try to find some of those mature bass. It's early spring, vegetation's not up yet, the water's very clear, so I have finesse stuff for the most part with me. So there's very little cover. This is a very heavily vegetated pond throughout the summer, and there are remnant beds here for sure. It's deepest at this end. It's probably no more than 6 feet deep, and shallows out as I get further out down the pond. I see no fish on the shoreline at this point, so I'm going to be spending most of my time in the deeper sections. The North Shore has the best opportunity to heat because of sun angle. That's changing rapidly now that we're into March. All right, I was guessing 51 degrees, but we'll see what we get. 50 on the nose, 50 and up. That's when the bass kick in metabolically. Their metabolism kicks in and they get hungry. So that's really when the spring feeding binge begins. And we don't have the wind that we had yesterday. The last week it's been so windy I haven't been able to get out. It also rolls up all the cold water from the deeper water. This is shallow enough, and with all that wind, it's probably isothermic. Probably the whole pond is, I bet you the bottom is 49, 48 at the farthest. All right, let's give it a whirl. All right, I'm gonna get looks like 7 feet of water here. And I'm at 47 down below. 50 at the surface, 47 down below. So we're in winter. This is still winter. So that's going to affect what I do. I'm going to stay a little bit deep, and I'm going to be fishing slow. I'm going to start aggressively. I'm going to hit those edges with a crankbait. If they're there and they're willing, I'm going to give it to them.
With the cold water, I'm using a slow retrieve with pauses. I want the fish to know they can catch that lure.
There's one. He thumped it. Well, okay. 16 anyway. Okay, gonna spin me around, are you? Whoa, one tail hook. Oh, baby. Oh, barely a tail hook. Oh man. There we go. There we are. Oh yeah, very pretty fish. And red, bright red teeth, bright red winter teeth. You see that? Oh yeah. Just about 16 inches. Pretty fish, pretty fish. All right. Adios. Let's do that again. Any more down there? Good glomming wet rag strike. Ah, I love that smell. That fresh bass smell. Okay, don't get excited. Don't start reeling too fast. This is a lot faster reel than your crankbait reel, so I can tell you're coming in kind of fast. There's one. Same spot. Took it on the pause. I just saw the line start to skate while I was paused.
Pause and a slackline strike. Such an aggressive strike is likely a competitive strike, telling me there's a concentration of bass here.
Same spot. I should drop an anchor here. Again. Slightly better fish. Stay down, honey. Oh boy. Now you're hooked well, I think. Oh, all right. Oh, we're gonna take you this way then, buddy. Whew. All right. All right. Another pretty fish. About 16. Yep. More red teeth there. Yeah. Very nice. Alrighty. Two fish in that same spot. Let's see what's out there. Crank it down. Pause. Slow float, slow rise. Okay, that's not somebody, is it? Nobody moving, no head shakes, no turning. That's about where it was, I believe. There's one. Oh, I got hit hard too. You're putting up a tussle, you are. Oh. Here I am. Surprise. Oh, I don't want to grab you. There we go. Wow. Whew. These guys are all hooked on the bottom jaw. What's that about? Let's try to get the cameras on this here. Okay, pretty. Okay, that's 3 in that spot. Something going on over there. It'll be fun to see what's over there. Whoa, I got plastered out there. Right close to the surface, too. On the initial descent, I guess. Hang tight, buddy. Oh. Yep. Pushing 16. Red teeth. That was off of that hump that's out there. That's what that was. It's only 3 feet on top. 8 feet on either side. Whoa, there's one. Oh, I got cracked right there, I did.